Being a founder in beauty can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the space feels a bit oversaturated. Getting into large retailers like Sephora can feel almost impossible. That's why we're here to tell you about Chaz and Kix. Chaz and Kix is a hair care brand stocked in Sephora, and we're giving you the opportunity to meet with the co-founders live, open to anyone who wants to ask their questions on how they did it. Imagine starting a company with your sister. These co-founders are in fact sisters who started a brand built on the basis of their heritage. Before landing in stores and participating in Sephora's accelerator program, there was a lot of history. Chaz and Kiku always wanted to start a brand together, but they just never knew what it would look like. The two were going about their careers in the United States when their parents returned from their annual trip to India, and they actually brought back a ton of Ayurvedic skin and hair care, which reminded them of those hair care rituals they had when they were younger and just how great they felt with these ingredients. One of the most important takeaways that we learned from these two is that just because you understand your brand really well doesn't necessarily mean that the consumer feels the same way. Chaz and Kiku grew up with Ayurvedic skin and hair care, so they were super well versed and educated in terms of that space, but their consumers didn't feel the same way. Their first product was a scalp and hair pre-wash, but consumers weren't super familiar with that terminology at the time. They worked to rebrand and modify and strategize in terms of what their product was going to look like and how it was going to be marketed. So their first iteration had a bit of copy, a little bit too confusing for consumers. When they rebranded, they experimented with some new packaging and kind of downsized their product. Fortunately, they acted fast to appeal to the consumer, and that strategy worked super well for them. You can now find Chaz and Kix products at Sephora, which is so exciting. You can also check them out for a little bit more education surrounding the Ayurvedic hair care world. If you want to learn from Chaz and Kiku themselves, we're having a free group coaching call with them to kind of walk you guys through live on how they did what they did in the hair care space, how they ended up in Sephora, and lots more.